didn't take a picture last. So I am going to take a quick picture of us before we get started, and then we're gonna get into it. So, right? Oh, I'm gonna play more music. We're good. Okay, right? One, two, three. Okay, love you guys. Thanks. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about time management. And this is the one thing that really, from like my personal life, I figured out was like the biggest shift that I'd experienced with coaching as like a general coaching experience, and something that's really, really helped me with my business. So, love this. Within time management, we're going to be talking about the problems that we see when we're trying to manage our time, especially as entrepreneurs. And then there are 3 steps that I have that really, really help when you're trying to manage your time. And it's just kind of like a 3-step process that we'll go through. And then we're going to talk about how to apply all of this stuff. And you guys are going to get some application time to make a crazy Google Calendar like I have, which is going to be very helpful when you are trying to set up appointments with your clients and things like that. And then, of course, Q&A. Hey, Carrie, I see you. It's like in this picture. So within there, if you didn't get a chance to do that 24-hour audit, I have found it to be so interesting. And I have found that like within 5-minute increments, that's like what I do, not on coaching. Well, on coaching calls, I'm keeping track of time as well. I use my Apple Watch. You can use whatever source of time management or time telling management. Sometimes I have like a clock right here. And that's also really helpful. But when I am doing that, what I realized 2 weeks ago is that responses to things were really time consuming for me. So after a call, I would quickly check my texts, I would check my emails, I would check Instagram messages, and I would check Facebook messages. And what I found with that is I was like wasting a grotesque amount of time, like 2 hours a day, like not all at once. It was like minutes. It would be like, okay, like something I thought could take 5 minutes would take like 20 minutes. And it would be like, okay, this response to my accountant would need a response for my payroll person. And then I would need to go and respond to this other person and change this bank account and do this. And there were just like so many, it wasn't the response itself that necessarily took quite some time. It was the other to-dos that happen from the response. So I realized that one of the executives that I coached, she was having the same problem with email. And what I realized is that something I've been doing, and this is more so for later, but like I've been starting a separate Google document for when I'm going to intentionally go through texts, emails, Facebook messages. And if there's anything that comes up, I set a time aside at the end of the day, not the beginning, but at the end of the day, so that I can have a list of to-dos, and then I put those to-dos on my calendar in another separate intentional time. And that's how I'm starting to do it. But another thing that I did is like, whenever I see a notification, like my brain thinks it's really important. Like it's like, oh, there's a notification, I'm missing something. So I actually turned off notifications for my text messages last week. And I have never felt so in control of the time I spend on my phone. Like it kind of just felt like almost habitual, to the point it was almost like not on what's the word? Like it was a habit, to the point, not an addiction, but like kind of in that same like vein of just like, oh my God, like I just have to grab my phone. I have to check. And I felt so free. It's been a process, but I think it's just going to continue. The other reason why I think this is so important is I know that your short-term business plans, but I'm not sure what all of your long-term business plans entail. And for me, I hope to grow this business I want to scale this business. I want to help as many people as possible. Coaching changed my life. You guys are changing so many lives. I really would like to help you, more coaches. And I realized when I was talking with a friend 2 weeks ago that my next steps are going to be hiring. So I'm actually going to be like hiring an executive assistant. I'm going to be hiring a virtual assistant, potentially also within that executive assistant kind of realm, maybe a social media person. Like, so there's some big things that are happening in Megan Wing Coaching, 6-figure systems world. And this was the first thing that she said to us to do. So I'm actually hiring a coach. She's amazing. Not Stacey Bayman, Stacey Tushel, and she's teaching how to go from a solopreneur to a CEO of like a business where you're running lots of people. And we were on a training last week, and she was like, that's the first thing that she has people do is this 24-hour audit. And I was like, okay. So I don't know where you guys are thinking your business is going to go, whether hiring people could be in your future, but this is the number one thing she says. And she has $2 million businesses. So $4 million businesses combined. And so what we're going to be talking about is like, there's going to be direct and indirect money, like generating activities for your future. And that's kind of where I want you to be thinking, like everything that I'm doing in my business, whether it's indirect, like self-coaching, or it's direct, like I'm physically talking to a human, those are money generating activities. And we're going to start to log them and track them so that your business not only has a formula that works, but you're also going to have something that's very predictable for the future. That was a lot of a tangent, but very important stuff coming for you guys. So taking that time to do the audit is really helpful. Now, what I've found is that a lot of us we make our own deadlines, you know? So it's like, no one's telling you this is due. You have to do a webinar at this time. You get to choose. So a lot of times we will set deadlines for ourselves and then kind of like wait for our own deadline. And that's a really difficult piece of time management where it takes a little bit more discipline than the average like worker, because someone else no one's telling you what to do in your business. You can do whatever you want, but you set deadlines. And then a lot of times, because of ways that we've maybe used deadlines in the past, maybe procrastination has been a way that we've like studied for things, even in school, in our like corporate world and things like that. So that can be a big deal. Another thing is that like within the solopreneur space, we could have like huge projects to work on. Like it could be like create a launch plan. I was like, I don't even know what that is. It's like, it's very vague. And I also like am like working through like how to launch a group. And I figured that out this weekend. But like when you have something that's like a very big, vague project that we are solving problems that no one has solved for really yet. It's like we're kind of like on the cutting edge of that kind of a thing. Having a big, huge project on your calendar can be a big problem. When I see some other people scheduling, they could have lists. And again, I've got a woman, has a 300K business, and she's functioned with to-do lists up until this point for the past like 8 years. And it's like, that is not a great use of her time, because then she also has to reprioritize daily and be like, okay, wait, what am I going to be doing today? I need to make sure that I hit this. Oh, but I also have this, and it can not be as effective as you want. And then also something that I'm still guilty of a lot of the time is scheduling an entire day to do a project. Be like, okay, I'm going to do, and we'll see if this works. If I've learned from my lessons, but this weekend I'm doing all my content for February and March. And we'll see if it works. And we're just going to see if it works. Usually it doesn't, but I've learned a lot, and I'm a lot faster at content batching than I used to. So we'll see, but I think it'll be good. Now, why you do this is it feels like you're being very organized and productive, writing big to-do lists. Like that's how she feels like she's using her best time a lot of and I'm not judging anybody if this is what you do. I'm just trying to help you understand why there might be a better way, you know? Also, our brains are hardwired for negativity. So we've got a big task in front of us, like with that motivational triad. And it's like, this could be painful. This is not fun. And it's going to take a lot of my energy. We don't want to do that. We will productively procrastinate elsewhere. Also, especially like, it's going to take time to do a project. So you want to include like a huge chunk of time, especially because again, for a lot of us, we don't know how much time something's going to take, especially because a lot of times you might be doing something for the first time. So it's like, I don't know how long it's going to take me to write a post. So I'm going to include 3 hours to write this, or not 3 hours, but like to write all my posts for the week. I'm going to include 3 hours. And like, we don't know exactly how long it's going to take, especially if it's the first time that you're doing something. And then if we put things on our to-do list or on our calendar, it's like, at least we're going to get it done, maybe eventually. But that's not the best way to go about things, especially as you guys are building these huge business. Like you guys all have the potential to make these businesses as big or as like as you want them to be. And they are all big in their own right now, but like we want to get really good at managing your time, being insanely efficient, insanely productive, because you guys have important shit to do in the world. That's what we're going to be focusing on. So what we need to do is we need to be evaluating very frequently. I mentioned in a post the other day, one of my clients has a $10 million business, and evaluation is how he got there in 2 years. He has hired like 40 people, and like literally it's just exploded. And within that, every day they're evaluating, every hour they're like checking in. Like I will talk with him about something that's like would take, I think, another business 4 months to create, and they do it in a weekend. Like that's what I'm talking about. The faster you can evaluate, not take it personally, be like, okay, I'm learning, moving on, and just like getting better and better every time, the faster your business will grow to be whatever you want it to be. The other thing is we need to the best of your ability, simplify projects into smaller tasks. Again, like I said, we don't know even the projects that you might have, you don't know what even the like what it could possibly be. So this is just to the best of your ability until it can become a protocol and something that is a part of your formula. Then the other thing, we're going to start calendaring. I want your calendar will become your best friend. It's going to be great. You're going to use it all the time. And instead of having a daily plan, we're going to make weekly plans, monthly plans, annual plans. But today we're going to be focusing just on your weeks, getting super organized every week. And then we're going to have very clear outcomes. You're going to have a very defined, like post written for week will be an outcome. It's going to be something that's very clear. You know what result you'll create at the end of the time. Instead of write posts, it's like write posts for week 2. It's going to be very clear how it's like write 3 posts for week 2. Like, it's like the more specific you can get, especially in this vague kind of solopreneur space, the better you will get at managing your time. So here's the process. Monday, hour 1, you're going to take all the things that you need to do for the week and put it on a calendar. Then there's also result breakdown. That's where we're going to take the big projects and break them down into manageable chunks. And then the Friday hour done is the evaluation, which, by the way, if you've been doing your weekly forms, guess who's been doing Friday hour done since the very beginning? You guys, because that is what Friday hour done is. It's very easy. So there are micro plans with Monday hour 1 that are going to be like little things like waking up, calendaring, habit stacking. Those are things that we're going to be focusing on today. And then in the annual plan, I actually did a webinar on it 2 weeks ago. God, that feels like 10 years ago. We are going to be doing the annual plan, which is where you're going to see in the bigger scheme of things. Like I think, Amber, I was talking with you, I think, about like vacations and how I'm planning vacations throughout the year. And like, that's also important. And as an entrepreneur, like, yes, you do want to prioritize your business, but we also need to make sure that you're having a life outside of your work. And so that is what we're going to be doing week 15 or system 15. Now the weeks are off. And I'm changing that for the next program. I'm like, we're doing systems, not weeks, because the weeks have gotten off a little, which is totally fine. Okay. So within your business, these are the categories that I want you to be focusing on with your business every week. Okay. There's going to be, and when I talked before about indirect versus direct money-making activities, we want to include time for both. So direct money-making activities or indirect would be thought work. And I like to do it as much as I can on the way back from yoga. Like that's my thing. And when I make time for that, I know that my brain is clean and I'm ready to go and show up and serve. For relationships, outreach, that is a direct money-making activity. When you do outreach, you will make money. Like that is something that like you can track it. And one of the things that Stacey is having us do is she's like, until you can directly see the amount of money you're making from like every post that you do, she's like, we have a different link in our Instagram header for people who are signing up from Instagram versus Facebook versus our Facebook ads versus our Google ads versus, like, she was like, everything has a different, or website ads or a website pop-up. She's like, they have a different link for everything. So they can directly see, if I hire a social media manager, I need to be getting X amount of consults. They need to be making at least what I'm paying them. Like, so it's like, I want you guys to be thinking about your businesses in this way. Like, I am going to see a direct correlation from the amount of people I reach out to the amount of client conversion I have. Like, it's going to be a formula, no drama. It's just going to be like, I talked with this many people and this worked. Indirect is coaching. Like, and yes, it is a direct way. Like, people are directly paying you, but like, they've already paid you a lot of times and they're in your program. So it's not like they're going to like not be a direct source of income, but you're over delivering as a coach when you are really creating insane results for your clients. They can refer you to people, they can create awesome testimonials, and they can also become like, one of my clients, he like messaged his sister and things like that, and he was like, you need to do this. And like, that's when I looked at my business, and I'll show you guys that in a second. This has been, these two have been like the biggest money making things for me. Miscellaneous, responding to emails. And this, it says AM, and I'm changing that to nighttime, putting that at night. That is something that is, because your brain gets decision fatigue throughout the day. So I'm putting in the biggest things that I have to do, like making presentations, in the morning, because my brain is fresher. You're going to start to learn your learning style. Like, maybe you're a night person, so that's a great place for you to put your energy. But you want to be making the most of your like best brain energy time. You do not want to be doing something like responding to emails or responding to text messages or responding to Instagram messages. I actually do outreach, and I message new people before I respond to like the other messages in my inbox, because I see how important that is. So for you guys, that's Monday hour 1. And you literally just take this and you're going to be putting it on your calendar. Now, the biggest thing is the results. How are you going about doing these results for your people? This is where you might not, I'm giving you as many of the big result formula pieces that I can. So you already have that. But when I was first starting out, I did not have outlines. I didn't know how long it would take for me to make slides, didn't know how long it would take for me to do marketing, no clue. So what I did, even though I had some of the pieces, like I knew kind of how to write an outline because I was a teacher. But what you can do is you can time yourself on your stopwatch. And that's what I've been doing recently. Like, I was checking in and seeing how long it would take for me to write a post or respond to people. And I realized that responding to 3 people who I currently had a conversation with took about 5 minutes. And so like, now I'm like getting insanely tuned in to my time. And I'm like, when like I've got 17 one-on-one clients and I've got you guys. So it's like, my calendar is pretty jam-packed. So every minute counts. Like, every single minute needs to be doing something that is revenue generating, whether that's self-coaching or that it's something indirect, getting coached myself, that's something indirect, or if it's doing something that's like, I'm reaching out to actual humans. So within this, I didn't know how long it was going to take for me. So I overestimate when I'm time blocking in my calendar. I was like, I'm going to give myself more time than I think is needed for the first time you do something. And then like, what you can do is you can put next to your protocols how much time it actually took, like predicted and actual. And then it's like, have a script, potential questions for the webinar. Within slides, I was like, I'm just going to choose a template and add interactive questions, and then marketing. So that's what I guessed it would take. And this is my calendar from February, because I blocked out people's names. But this is what your calendar will look like. Now, doesn't have to look like mine. But for me, I found that this is the best way for me to be really productive with my time. So thought work and meditation, blue is for me, like self stuff. Eat lunch. If I didn't have eat lunch on there, pick up medication. If I didn't have that on there, it was not going to, like, I would not eat lunch a lot of the time. And as you can see, I didn't put it on for, I think this was Saturday, and I forgot to eat lunch. Or it's like, no, I eat lunch with a person that week. So personal for me is blue. And that's what I put on my calendar first. Then I go in and I put in relationships. So that's where I was like, my little brother lives in Boston. We talk once a week. So I wanted to make sure it was important. At the time, I was living in Winston, and I've since moved, but my mom lived in Raleigh. And so I wanted to make sure I talked with her. That was very important to me. I also wanted to hang with some of my best friends in the local area. So I was like, I'm putting that on my calendar first. And it's like the salmony color. Lunch with a girl, Winston people, Valentine's Day gala. These are like the things that I did back in February. Now, within that, I also wanted to make sure. So that's the second thing when you're doing Monday hour one. First is self, then relationships. Then I would put all my meetings. Now, the beauty of this is you guys have coaching packages that last more than a week. So these are reoccurring. And I make the first time you do Monday hour one, it's going to be the hardest, not the hardest, the most tedious, because none of this probably exists. And maybe it does. Maybe you're like on it. I know, Demetria, I know that you are a scheduling person too. So it's like you might already have your schedule made, which would be awesome. But for those of you that have never done it before, it might take you a whole hour to get all of this on your calendar. And that's okay. All right. Like that's not a problem. It gets easier as you go. So then I did thought work. I had all my coaching clients at the time were here. I also included consult calls. Now with like things like Acuity and Calendly, which I'm pretty sure most of you guys are using, consult calls and coaching calls go on your calendar like for you. That's why having a Google Calendar integrated with your calendaring system is so great. Like I didn't have to ask someone, okay, when are you available for a consult, and like click on my calendar. I just looked on my calendar. I was like, oh, I've got 2 consults this week. Great. So that was awesome. I also planned a presentation, and I was planning like 2 presentations at the time. This was one that I was doing for this was a presentation that I was doing for NC State. I did another presentation for time management for NC State. So I did like 2 presentations that week because I thought I was going to be working with college students. And I also put in prep for consults. So like that might be something you need to add. And that's why I made it yellow. For this, I was about to do, I was doing 200K, my first round of 200K at the time. So I included my 200K calls, and then I included my, the workbook that I was filling out at the time. I also put my name on the Life Coach School database this week. It's a busy week for me. I unpacked and packed for a trip. So all those things are things that you want to be putting on your calendar. And then last but not least, having a way to evaluate. What do you do when you're done with your week? And you start with 5 things accomplished, what worked, what didn't work yet, and what can you do differently? And that is kind of how I do my weeks. Now, for you guys, I gave you an even more in-depth version of the end of the week. Whatchamacallit? The end of the week, Friday hour done. This is what I do every week. And I would put this in a separate folder. For me, my folder is here. And I'm not saying that like, I would never give you guys stuff that I don't do. I do this every single week. And actually my coach made me send it to her every week until it became a habit. And then I was like, great. So every week I do this. And I have my goal for this year is 200K. My monthly goal, that should be 15. My monthly total so far is this. And so I have like offers made. And last week was a shit week for me networking, y'all. I had 0 people I reached out to. So that's okay. You're going to have weeks like this too. You need to be honest with yourself and give yourself legit like evaluations. I reached out to 20 new people. I did consults or 0. Networking, I would consider that to your warm leads. Outreach is cold leads. 0 clients, money created this week. And I was like, 5 wins. Like, I created protocols, like a lot of protocols this week. I actually might be asking my boyfriend to help me with some things like in the back end of my business in the meantime till I can afford hiring somebody. Um, I self-sabotaged a little. I told my accountant, I was like, I might make 300K this year. And she was like, okay, you pay $13,000 in taxes this month. And I said, okay. And then I did that. And I was like, I was like, Diane, I need to change that. It was like, I don't want to like, I was like, I'm only making like, I'm not making that amount of money and we need to move that. So self-sabotage, but I fixed it. And I'm tracking my motherfucking finances daily. Like these, like it does not need to be something that's pretty. It doesn't need to be something that everyone's gonna see. But the reason it's important that you guys start doing this now is next soon, you're gonna have something that looks like this. And it's going to be beautiful. And it's going to be tracking everything that you do. The week before, I reached out to 90 people because of the webinar. So that was pretty good. But I have this for everything. And I made it even better for you guys. Like, as you can see, this is how it went. 2020, each year it keeps getting better. And then that was last year. And this is this year. But I know my numbers every single week. I knew exactly where I was coming in this year. And that should be 120. I think I actually didn't add 1 month, but yeah. So I want you guys to start doing this too, because it makes your business feel very repeatable and easy. So, and so I do this every week. This is my evals for 2022. You can see, like, I literally did this every week. And you will too. I did it for 2021 too. So I've been doing this for 2 years. Do not think that like this is where your end will be. Don't judge your end at my beginning, but that annual goal, monthly total, how much you've made, and then we're going to start tracking that. The other thing that's in there, when I first started, I did this once. I did Monday hour 1 and actually wrote down how I was spending my week. And I would recommend you doing something like today's Tuesday, right? So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, if you want, actually just like having it in one place. And then the rest of it pretty much becomes, once you put it on your calendar one time, you can pretty much move stuff around. So like you can see, like this is my calendar for this week. The names of my one-on-one clients are anonymous. So that's why I blocked them out. So it's like, you could move stuff around pretty easily. So just knowing that like, okay, I do it once and then I'm pretty much done. So I want you to do 10 minutes on your eval. I would love for you to do 10 minutes on your Monday hour 1, 20 minutes to fill out your Google Calendar. And we're going to make it 10 minutes to fill out your Google Calendar for the week. And this might take a little bit of time again for the first time you ever do this. But once you do that, and you don't need to submit it, just like know that you have it and fill out your weekly form if you have time. But that is it. That was a lot. Now, does anybody have any questions? Not finding it.
I have questions.
Yes. Okay, Dorit.
2 of them. One, where you wrote down the money you made each week.
Yes.
Are you writing, like if people are doing payment plans, are you writing what you get paid that week, or no, because they've already signed up with you, so you calculated the whole amount the week they signed up?
So I actually do you use Square or QuickBooks or PayPal or something like that?
I just got Stripe. I don't know how to use it.
Okay, so Stripe will be taking all the money that you take, and it probably looks very similar to this. So what I do is I go through and I track Saturday to Friday. So that's how I typically go through.
Okay.
And then I scroll down to the bottom where it says like, so this is my gross sales, but they also take out money for fees. So this is the number that I put in my spreadsheet.
Okay. If anyone here does Stripe and wants to offer a half hour of some support, I would love some help. The other question on your Google Calendar,
Mhm.
So when people are, you're putting in all the things you want to do, but when people are scheduling through your calendar link, like
Mm,
if you have consults, let's say you're available Monday 10 to 5 for consults, but if you've blocked out your whole calendar
for this.
with the colors that are not an event, then Calendly can book on top of what
You're doing.
have scheduled. So how do you manage that?
Yep. When you have a Google Calendar, each event that you do, you can actually make events say free or busy. So I chose to do events on Friday. This is my admin day. I've got hypnotherapy on this Friday, but I also created some availability. This is my old business coach, so she's going to meet with me on Friday and we're just going to catch up. But for my posts and things like that, I also include Friday is just an admin day for me, but I make it free so people can book consults as well. So, depending on the importance of the task, I know I can move around creating reels for next week, and it probably isn't going to take me 3 hours. It probably going to take me more like 2 hours. I give myself a generous 3 hours to do that, but I also know that, like, or 4 hours, but I also make it free so that people can book calls with me. There are other things, and I'm just doing this like, these are days I know I don't have clients. So I'm like, I'm just trying to keep their confidence, if that makes sense. But there are things like this where content batching for February and March is busy. No one can, and if this was during a weekday, no one can book shit during this because this is super important. I realized, y'all, I'm launching in 6 weeks. And I was like, shit, I need to get ready for that. So this like past weekend, I got the webinar ready for next week. It's so badass. I'm super excited about it. And I'm getting like all my posting done and things like that. I'm taking down my Wix site because Sydney has helped me to make my site good. So it's like those are things that like are really important. And yes, sometimes I work on the weekend right now. I actually figured out when I did this presentation that I so don't judge me, but I work like 83-hour weeks. And I just did like the math. And I was like, that's too much time. Regardless, I'm doing that so you guys can work like 40 to 30-hour weeks. I do not want your business to have to take as much time as mine did. I felt like I was building the plane as I fly it, and I'm giving you guys like, here's the material to make the wing. Do the material to make the wing. It will only take you 30 minutes because it took me like doing outreach at the beginning, y'all. It took me like hours. So those are the kind of things that I do. And if I block up Friday, then it would actually be a 40-hour week. That's a good.
Okay, so I was going to say I don't have the luxury of time that you have, but you're putting 80 hours a week. So obviously you don't either. You're making different choices, but I have a part-time job. So there are days that I'm just not available at all.
Oh
So
yeah.
on the days that I am available, I just want to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying is look at each task I put on the calendar and decide what I'm not willing to move and make that busy, and the others make free.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Calendly, you can't do like, I'm available 1 hour here, 1 hour there. You have to do like 10 to 5 or something.
Wait, you can
Right.
do that, Jeree, because I do it on Calendly. Like I set aside like 2 hours on Saturday.
And you could do
But
like,
but if you want to do, let's say you're available from 10 to 2 on Saturdays and then 7 to 9 on Saturdays. What I'm saying is you can't do two
Oh.
time slots. You would have to do 10 to 7, but block yourself out somewhere in the middle so they can't book. So that's where you put busy on your other.
I actually think that Calendly, because another one of my clients used it, it integrates with your Google Calendar. So you wouldn't have to set your hours. You could just integrate it with your calendar. And then your calendar would tell Calendly what times are busy and which times are free. So you wouldn't have to worry about setting it twice if you integrate it. Does that make sense? So like, and like with
Yeah,
like,
but in order for it to show busy so far, sorry guys, this is in order for it to show busy, I've had to schedule things like an event, which is the same color as Calendly. If I'm trying to color coordinate so that I can visually see what's happening, what I'm trying to understand is, if, let's say I do content creation and that's a color, I'm choosing pink, but that's not in the colors they allow. I'm making it up. So I put busy.
So Dorit, just take a look at this. This is Acuity. I think it's very similar. I say I work from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay, yeah.
I don't actually work 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. People cannot book calls 7 a.m. to 6 a.m. Why? Is because I've integrated this with my Google Calendar.
Right.
So I say I'm available from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. But if you look over here, when you go to integrations, and I'm sure there's something similar, I integrated it with, and also if anyone has questions, feel free to stay on or feel free to get started. If you,
yeah, sorry guys.
no, these are the questions that like, I feel like nobody is asking. And they're like, just like little things that make a really big difference. So it's like, if you are taking time, like not wasting, but like if you're taking time to get this into your calendar, we don't want that. So I integrated my Google Calendar with and I synced it with another calendar. So I synced it with my Gmail. So every single time that I am working in my business, it says that I'm available 7 p.m. to 6 p.m. But it for like this week, it would have already booked out times. Like the people who are booking consult calls could only see that I was available from 7 a.m. to 10. They couldn't book a consult call during.
Is that because all those other things, when you scheduled them, you put the busy sign?
Yeah, it's just
okay. That was my question. Okay,
and that's what I think you were saying. And I was like, I got you. I was like, Dorit, okay. Don't even worry about it. I was like, yes. So I just set it to busy. Now you asked about what I did when I was working full time. So yeah. I taught from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. I did my morning routine where I would self-coach myself. I would do yoga in the morning. This is in 2021. And then during my lunch break, I was teaching virtually and I was simultaneously doing outreach on the days that I didn't have lunch coverage. I covered this teacher, and this teacher Monday or Tuesday through Thursday. So when I was in those other classrooms, I would bring my computer and I would be doing outreach during my lunch break. Okay. I also had meetings, which was my PLT. I would have my it's like I also worked full time and had the business. And so I did these were my coaching clients that I had at night. And then I also did this mastermind that was I actually Shayna, I think that was our mastermind, by the way. That could have been. And then I also I was getting coaching for mother-daughter stuff at the time. That was the call for like the life coach school. I also in February of 2021, like it looked crazy, but like, yeah, I would like do a call from like 8 to 10 p.m. I also was getting certified like from 7 to 10 p.m. So I also had like other self-coaching. I had family game nights. Like, so I still made time for things. Even when I was doing that, I was also testing students at the time. So it's like, I had to get really creative. And that's when I was like, now I'm back to that. Like every minute is critical. Like I have to use every single minute to the fullest. And that's, I think, where you're at. And it's just knowing how every minute of your time is spent and using it to the fullest.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to explain.
Oh my gosh, of course. I know that like it can seem impossible when you have a full-time job and are also doing this, but I was like, I'm just going to make the time. And I just figured it out. Like this was, I did it like a podcast and I was like, I was scheduling stuff during the teaching day and I was like, all right, we're just going to do these things. I was driving to places. I like had coaching. I actually even scheduled like a coaching call, like with my marketing coach during the day. And I was like, I wrote my Facebook Live outline during the day and I just had to get really creative with it because I also was like very, very good with my time for school. Like every minute that I wasn't actively teaching, I was like, okay, kids, take 10 minutes to write. I would make the PowerPoint for the next day.
Okay.
So
Beautiful.
it's like, it was crazy. It was crazy, but like, it was worth it when it came to the end, you know?
Thank you.
Of course. Yeah. And you can see I was like, had a posting schedule here. I saw that in the chat. I had, so Demetria, I use 3 things and it might be overkill as well. So I also pay for QuickBooks, but that's because of my accountant. Now, what my accountant said is that QuickBooks can actually link with Acuity, and I can do Acuity instead of, or QuickBooks instead of Square. I just haven't figured out how to do that. So I'm probably paying for too much as well. Like I try and keep in, as you guys know, lean business is my thing. Like I love keeping a lean business. But Diane is coming to talk with us next week. So get ready. It's a lot. It's going to be one of those a lot calls. So just like be ready. But I also, not ADP, I also have my QuickBooks as well somewhere. Do you guys think I have enough saved tabs?
Oh my God. Do you have an accountant specifically for coaching?
Yeah. But I only got, and I don't know what we've talked about. We're talking about like when to hire an accountant next week and when to do legal, LLC. That's all coming next week. But yeah, okay. So you invoice people with QuickBooks. Oh, Demetria, I might need to meet up with you because like that's important. But like there's also things that you probably don't need to know just yet. I might do a bonus training for you guys if we have time at the end before the next round to talk you through how I do QuickBooks. But I don't think you need to pay for QuickBooks just yet for most of you. I don't think that you're at the point. It's more for like the future of your business. That's why I don't want to get into like the nitty gritty of paying for Acuity either. That's intentionally why I left that out of this program, because I don't want you guys to have to pay for Acuity. I don't want you to pay for QuickBooks. Like anything that you don't physically have to pay for, I do not want you to pay for yet, unless you really need it. Yes, Carrie.
I have a question about Monday, hour 1.
Yeah.
So I just opened the copy that you made for us, and I guess I'm a little confused on what, like I get going through your calendar and setting up different times for you to do things, but I'm a little confused on like Monday, hour 1 and the other things that you mentioned.
Yeah. So what I like to do is on Friday, I do this weekly eval. And it's actually happened on Saturday, the past 2 weeks. But on Friday, I like to do my weekly eval first. And it's called
Oh,
Friday.
eval, not an email, an eval, like an
It's
evaluation.
like an evaluation. Yeah. Or
Okay, okay.
yeah. So it's called Friday Hour Done. And it's just an evaluation of how this past week went. And then sometimes people don't even know, like, sometimes like when I first work with like, especially like my one-on-one clients, they don't even know like what they have going on during the week. So I like to go in and like one of my clients, she was like, I have no time in the day. And I was like, okay. And essentially what I did also this summer, actually I can show you guys on my, because it's on my notes. I literally like went through and I was like, okay, even though I had my Google Calendar, I actually went through and wrote down my whole calendar. So I was like, these, like every single day, I do a thought walk, outreach, post one, respond in the group, client spot. I like went through and actually like wrote down all the things that I have to do in a place like this. And I was like, sometimes it's helpful to be like, okay, here are like the actual time spaces that I have. Because for me, I was getting really stressed and I was like, there's no time in the day to do all these things. No wonder I'm stressed and working a lot. And so what I did is I was like, no, but there are spots that I'm not using my time really well. It was during these times. These were all the times that I was like, okay, this is like 2:30 to like, I think it was like 3. I was like, that's 30 minutes that I'm not using well. 40,
I
4:35. Yeah.
I think looking at that confuses me a little bit.
Yeah. And so then skip it. If it's not useful, just omit it. And then what
So
I would do is I would go in and I would just put everything on your calendar that you have for the week. So I would be like,
right.
okay. And maybe you might need to I want you to prioritize yourself, but you know you've got meetings during the week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially because you just left your job. Like this is where it was like, what do I do with my time? And then I figured out too much to do with my time. And I was like, this is too much. And so now I'm cutting back. But like, do you have a calendar like this with your meetings for the week? And then, so you're ahead. Some people don't have that. So that's what that's for, is for people who don't
Okay.
have
Okay.
that set up just yet. And then putting in your
I
work.
get the Friday. I get the Friday, like evaluate how your week went.
Yep.
I guess I want to know like what Monday hour one is. That just so you can kind of just set your calendar up for the week?
So then what I do is, so right now this calendar looks like, it's like there's stuff that's like kind of on top of each other a little bit, but not too bad. Take a look at,
Mhm.
well, next week I'm out of town, but like take a look at this. Like it's like people are on top of each other. Like it's a, you're there. It's like, so it's like stuff is kind of all over the place. Like I've got my monthly checklist, I've got check group work, like it's not organized. So at the beginning of every week, what I do is I go in and make it organized. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to schedule this email. I'm going
Okay.
to make it like it's more organized. And then I have to move stuff around daily. Like that's not like, sometimes I have to move stuff around daily. I try my best not to, but like, um, I didn't do like the social, like the audit that we were supposed to do. And so I was moving that around and like trying to figure out when I'm going to make that happen. And I'll be like reaching out to you guys about that today. But usually I just try and go in my calendar once and then um like change things around a little bit.
Okay.
But essentially, like the reason why I set aside time on Friday to do that for the next week is then I'm not like, oh, I'm like not messaging the people about coming to my Facebook Live. I'm like, okay, I know I need to do that. Okay. Oh, Nicole booked a call then. I need to move my self coaching tonight. That's fine. Okay. I'm going to take this monthly checklist. Ooh, that's the most important thing, which I'm going to be talking to you guys about later. But I'm going to move my create reels for next week. I think I could probably do that in an hour because I'm working on them a lot now. So I'm going to move that, and then I'm going to move my monthly checklist, and it will take me probably a full hour to check the group work. So I'm going to do that. I found that I did a really good job preparing for this group. So I probably only going to need to take 30 minutes to do this. And this is what I would do next Friday. And be like, okay, oh, I'm not going to be able to do outreach because you're coming over. So I'm just going to need to find a time for outreach. And maybe I'll just like make my post a little bit shorter and I'll go through and do this. Like you see how this is my Monday hour one now. I just go in and I
Okay.
make everything like all organized. I don't know why there was an event there, but I'm like, okay. And I just look for overlap. I'm like, any overlap? Oh, marketing conversion one. I'm doing a podcast. So or not a podcast, a webinar. So I'm like, oh, okay, I need to delete dinner, or I need to like, at least I've got eat lunch. So I'll change this to be like eat dinner. Boom. And I'm like, all right. So then everything is like a little bit more organized. Like I take time after every session. I post our group work, make sure I get that done. I make sure I eat lunch before I have my next coaching call. I have typically a 200K coaching call. I get coached 5 times a week. So I make sure that I make time for that as well. So, and like for this week, so if I was does that make sense, Carrie?
Yeah. Yep.
So Monday hour one becomes something where I just move stuff around. Essentially, I was like, plug and chug. Are there any more questions? These are some great, great questions. Oh yeah. The colors for my Google Calendar, it changes. It like most of the time though, it is, I think self-care is blue or various shades of blue. Relationships is like that salmon color. I don't like the color pink personally. I know a lot of you guys love the color pink, but it's just like one of those weird things. I call it salmon. Meeting those for coaching is gray. For my personal coaching calls is yellow. Like peer coaching or like weird calls, like so next week I'm coaching Nicole. That'll be orange. And consults are red. And I would say that another thing at peer coaching, and then pre-consult is usually orange, and post-consult is orange. Result for something that's hard to do, I actually do this in shades of green. So light green are the like direct money making activities, like because I was thinking about like money, and then indirect is dark green. So that's like writing the webinars and things like that, making protocols. Like, y'all, I went ham in my protocols. I literally like did this all this weekend. I was like, here's how I do my new website, my monthly checklist, my old website protocol, how I do presentations, webinars. Like, I have a protocol for everything. So I go ahead and do that. But that would have been like something that's indirect. And miscellaneous, I usually do like purple or light blue a lot of the time. Like that's like for me, like I had pack for 200K on there. It'll be things like, oh, also in red, I do like weird or it's like it'll be consults or trainings. Like so that like hiring training I did in red, that kind of stuff. And then like personal, like miscellaneous, like I think I had packing on there. That was like one of the examples. I do that in like this purpley light blue color, like get it ready for the gala. Also, like I include like transition time, like drive to location. That's also on my calendar. That's the only time I like you'll see like a double book kind of thing because I'll be like drive to Kristen, talk with mom. Good question. I love color coding too. Yay. I'm glad that helped you guys. So I am going to stop sharing my screen, go ahead and take the next couple minutes, and I'm going to be texting you guys just with like things that I saw on your on social media that I'm like, I love this, and maybe this could be improved. So that's what we're doing for the next 4 minutes. And then I will see you guys for an hour of coaching. I'm going to run to the bathroom first, so I might have to text you while I'm doing the post uploading.
Hey Megan, can I ask you something?
Of course. What is up?
Thank you. I just noticed when I was trying to calendar my Facebook inviting people to my group,
Yeah.
a thought. And so I just thought maybe I'd just ask you a quick question.
I say let's just get started with some coaching. Let's do it, because that thought is probably something that other people have. So feel free to bring it forth.
Well, I have a lot of thoughts. This is, I think, underlying why I haven't done it yet. Of I don't want people to feel obligated because I think I've felt obligated in the past to be in groups. And then you're going to have people in there who don't really want to be there. Then they're not going to participate. So I guess when you're finding people to join, how do you do it in a way where it's like not they're not doing you a favor? They actually want to be in it and they're going to be participating and excited to be in the group.
Okay. So I think your where is a really interesting question. So I'm going to give you coaching that I'm not sure if you are expecting. So I think that for me, when I first started, I did launched the Goal Getters Facebook group. No idea what it was going to be. I was essentially just reposting. I didn't offer any live coaching or anything like that in there. And I invited everyone and anyone. I was like, this is where I'm going to find out. Now, the reason why I did that, I like had people in the group that were like, my uncle was like in there. I was like people that like I wasn't sure they would be a good fit for coaching. But I invited them anyways. And here's why. First off, it helps to normalize like being in a group for multiple people. The other thing is you're having a thought that like people are like doing you a favor because like this group isn't going to be like fucking awesome.
I think it's amazing. I just don't know if it's going to help them on what they want help with. You know what I mean? Like if somebody doesn't really want to lose weight or.
Yeah, I think that could be totally true. And you don't know. Like, it's like your brain is like prejudging them. That uncle that I mentioned, he was the most, like, he is like, lives in New Jersey. Like, literally, like, he's in his 60s. He was the most person in that Facebook group for the first year. He was so into it. And I judged him. And I was like, he's never going to be into this. These people from my high school, never going to be into this. And they're now my clients. They're people who have referred me to people. They're people who have, the other thing I was going to show you guys is I went through for this next webinar, and I want you guys to be writing this down as well. Like everyone you got a consult with, I want you tracking them. And I did 34 consults last year. This is again my third year business. I'm doing them for like all the years. I'm trying to clean it up. This is just for the purpose of this webinar that I'm doing. But like referral, networking. This is an online group. Referral, presentation that I did. Instagram. And actually, no, I didn't even include Demetria and Jana in there because I said it was like through Christina. So I need to include you guys on there. So I guess 36 consults. And all those people were like, a lot of the people were like referrals from like weird places that I wasn't expecting it to come from. So for me, I would say like, this is a person I went to high school with. These are two people I went to high school with. There was a person who I went to NC State with. Like, I didn't expect them to be interested in working with me at all. Yeah, NC State. This is another person I went to high school with. This is a person I went to NC State with. This is a person who I joined their breakup coaching group. So I would say be cautious of like judging people before you know if they're interested or not. And would it hurt them to be a part of your group?
No, but I think it's more my thoughts about me. Like, I guess that thought was having me envision like crickets all the time in my group because no one really wants to be there. Like, I'm like, woohoo, let's do this. And they're like,
And I want to offer that it might not be like, woohoo, I want to be here right away. I have my group, and I think that my shit is really good. Like, I'm like, the stuff that I'm putting in Six Figure Systems is probably, and I've got coached on this, too much. People are like, it's too, like, you're giving like so much away for free. And I'm like, oh, I like almost am giving like so much in here, which is like interesting. So like I was like talking about like the annual plan. Like I've talked about a lot of things that we do in our group coaching here, how I break down topics and pillars. Like that is something I did in this webinar or in these little trainings and things like that, live coaching calls and things like that. But I want you to notice there's a really, really awesome person that is posting a lot in this group. This is Megan Ann Wing girl. Like she is posting. I'm not really seeing anybody else. I'm actually not seeing anyone. I'm not actually seeing anybody else, even though my shit is great. Does that mean I'm not going to stop? I'm going to stop talking to people in my group? No. But I know that the participation will come. Like, and like there are lots of people who are, because of this, they're DMing me. They're like, I've gotten a ton of DMs. Like people are like, wait, how do you do this? And I think it's just because there isn't a culture yet where they're asking questions in this group yet. And I'm working to build that. But like, would you be willing to do it, even if it's just you, even if it feels like just crickets in front of people that 255 people? And by the way, only like 5 of them are coaches. Like a lot of these people, not 5. Oh, there's more than 5 now. But I'm like, all these people are like people from my high school, people from my like wherever. And I'm sure they're looking at this and they're like, I don't know. But the people who are in there that actually really want to be there are getting so much value from it. Dorit, you were actually a person I coached live. Carrie was a person I coached live in my Facebook group. Like there are people who are joining because they're seeing this stuff and they're like, oh, this is awesome. You know what I mean? And so
you just hit that invite button and you just like start inviting people?
Literally, I was literally like, I went through just people I thought I would like, who I had an interest with. So I went to Carrie and I said, do. Like literally just went down. NC State, do. Green Hope High School, do. Business Development Initiative. No one's in that. But groups in common. I was like, Raleigh. I was like, let's go. You can see, like, and I think that these people have like uninvited themselves from my group, which is totally fine. They can leave at any point. Okay. But I was like, who knows?
Okay. I feel good. Can I tell you one crazy thing that happened this week? And then I'm out.
I would love that. Tell me.
I was coaching somebody this week and I just had the thought that she loves to buy expensive things. And I just offered at $7,500 and she was like, done. Like I literally
what?
Like I really feel like she's the type of person that would have snubbed her nose at like 5K. And I'm just like, I think this would be better for her. Like, and I don't know if I would offer that to the next person. Well, yeah, she signed it. She hasn't paid. She signed. So I've had 3 in like the last few weeks, but it's just amazing because I'm not saying that's my new price. I am just saying that because that was in my head, and she started out by telling me she has a private chef and all these coaches. And I'm like, this person loves to buy expensive things.
Yes. Well, and I just love to buy.
Like it makes her feel good. And so it was just interesting how that played out. And I just went with it. And I didn't feel she could say no. She could say yes. And she was like, let's do it. I was like, okay.
Yes, because you were detached. Like that's the biggest thing. Like you were detached but committed. And you were like, yes, I'm detached to this like person, but I'm committed and I know this could be helpful. Like that's literally like the mindset you need to have. Everybody have this mindset just for life. Like it's a good one to have.
Yeah. So it's pretty amazing. Like I'm not changing my pricing. I was just open in the moment to like really thinking, I think this is what she needs or she's saying. And so it was kind of fun.
Hell yeah. I love that.
Thank you.
So proud of you, lady.
Thank you. All right. And I got coached last week, so I'm going to let somebody else take a turn. But that Facebook thing, yeah, that helped me. So thank you.
And that's why I'm having you guys put your information in here so that it doesn't feel like crickets. You can always reach out to everyone in the group and be like, with my Facebook group, I have a response that I send them every week. And I'm like, or like that's my new IG live, but like I send them like, hey, are you available to coach? Hey, are you available to coach? And I've got like 7 people. So you guys can reach out to each other and be like, hey, could you join this for a second? Hey, could you join this for a second? Like, just so you're not coaching to yourself, because that feels uncomfortable. And I've done it. I did it like back in December. I like changed my time. This past week, I was about to do it again. And luckily, like an hour before, a girl I did a consult with was like, I can join. And so I was like, great, amazing. We're going to do that. Yeah.
When you say coaching to yourself, what do you mean? You're just like
when
talking?
I coach myself, I sit and I talk for 6 minutes and then I'm like,
oh,
okay, I'm going to go have a 5-minute funeral for myself, evaluate, and like move on.
I love
5-second funeral is what it should be. It should be like, damn.
Yeah.
Like last night, I was like really disappointed because I love breath work. And I was like, I did not want to host something. I was like not in the mood until I had like a 5-second funeral for my evening that I thought once was. And then I was like, okay, we're moving on. I've got to mop. I got to like vacuum. I'm like moving forward.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's why I also want you guys to list like your programs, like your webinar name, and I'm going to add like Facebook name and group link. So you guys can have your groups on here too. So you can be like this is like used to include the link here and just put that in there. So like, you don't feel like you're just talking to nobody. Like, and then if like all of us will join and like, if you're like, hey, can everyone just like it, that's what the feed is also can be for is like, hey, can everyone just check. Oh, and I'm sorry, Amber, I'm gonna love that. We're not going to be in shutdown. I will coach you, Amber, on this. I'm sorry I missed that. I like was looking at the breath work. I thought this post was this post, and I'm very sorry about that. So that's on me. But within our like, if you are like, hey, can someone just like this post so I don't feel like an idiot? Like I've gone through so many, like there's so many posts on here that like nobody likes it, or like one person likes it, one person shows up. Now at least a couple people are liking it, which is really fun. 2 people. But again, I made 120K with 2 likes. Would you rather be popular or rich? Just kidding. I'm not rich by any stretch of the imagination, but that kind of a thing.
Yeah, you are, because you're living into your future. You know, the universe hasn't caught up yet.
Well, I also feel like rich as far as like life. Like I'm like, oh God, what an experience of life. The fact that I get to like do this work with you across the world, like so neat. I'm just so lucky. Rich in experience. And then who knows? I think the value is going to show up too.
So amazing. Did you see my post about coaching someone on a cruise?
Yes. And I was like, what? Like, how cool is that?
I didn't expect, she came on. She's like, oh, I did an unexpected cruise and like the oceans behind her. I'm like, this is the coolest world that we live in, that I can just like, she can be on a boat.
Where was it a post or was it on your story?
Oh, sorry. No, it was
on your story, I think.
Yeah, it was a story.
Like, oh, that's just so cool. I love that.
It was fun. We do live in a cool world.
You know what? We should start every coaching that I do. I want you to start with just like a mini win, because it's just like it's fun to be like,
yes.
So awesome. Okay, I love that. Amazing. Right. Thank you, friends. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Amber, you feel rich? Yes. I love it. Would anyone like some coaching? Amber, you said you're feeling good.
Yeah, I'll just say the website just like really put my brain into shutdown. I think I got through it. I worked on it this weekend and I feel better about it now. I think I was in very perfectionistic mode. Oh, and I realized for anyone doing the webinar, I didn't know in Zoom you could create like a registration link through there. So I was trying to figure out how I could like start an email service and then connect it to my website and then where those emails were going and then how to send them the Zoom link. Yes. And then I learned that you can just create a registration through Zoom and then all my problems were solved.
And the other crazy thing is that like what I make this in Zoom and I put this for something, but I guess I didn't put it with the other thing. When you do a registration like that is like, you can also just send people the link too. You can just be like, well, I don't know why it's not letting me sign in. Sign in. I would like to. Okay. Yeah. Why are y'all seeing this? This is not working. But anyways, maybe I just need to do it through Google. That's fine. We'll do that. Okay, yeah. So for my webinars, I do not buy the webinar thing. That's for like 250 plus people. Please don't do that. There's like a webinar like premium package. You do not need to do that. I literally went in and I was like, you click meetings, schedule a meeting, and then that's the link that I use for my webinars. I don't even have a registration for it. I'm like, yep, here you go. But you do want to know who's coming. So I think that if you don't have a website and or something like that, that's a brilliant fucking idea, Amber. Like, do that. And then for my meeting on February, how can I see February 1st? I literally just went in here and I was like, yep, we're doing a meeting. Oh, this is past it. Anyways, so I literally was just like, the marketing conversion should be on here. Yikes. It should be on here. Marketing conversion 101. We'll see. I'm just gonna like find that. But I definitely made a meeting for that. And that's the link I just made. Marketing conversion. Anyways, I'll figure that out. But usually I just have it in a Zoom link that I do right there. So that's good. Love that. Proud of you for getting through the website stuff. And
so I was overcomplicating everything. And I was just like, I was trying to ask myself the simplest way to do it. And then I found the simple way. And I was like, that's done.
Done. That's what so much of this is. So proud of you. Amazing. What? Focus mode. Good to know. I love that. Demetria said focus mode also helps. Now, I didn't get a chance to coach you, Demetria, or Shayna last week. So if there's any coaching that you guys want, I would love to start with you guys and then open it up. Unless you're feeling amazing.
I do feel amazing and I probably could use some coaching.
Great. That's the best time to get coaching. So first off, what's a win that you've experienced in the past couple of weeks?
A win is spent this weekend with the girls, with Shanna and Christina. It was a working weekend and I got a very good outline on my presentation that I have to do in what I realized is 2 weeks on February 3rd. So,
yep. Love that.
I need to keep working on it. Part of my coaching is when Shanna and Christina talked me through this. Like, I think I had some very definite ideas about coming away with like a done presentation, and it's not done, but I do have a very good handle on it. And I think I need to recognize that. And I think I wanted like every word done and I wanted it. Yeah, I wanted it complete, but I have a very good outline. I know, like, I have my talking points. So now it's just fine tuning and I can do it. I think I'm making it more because it's an in-person event. Like, I'm live and in person in front of people. And I don't even know exactly how many people. So I think I'm freaking myself out because of that.
Yeah.
So.
Do you want some coaching on that?
Sure.
Let me give you some coaching on that. So when I did my first couple of presentations in person, I was super freaked out too. I literally was like, oh my God, like, am I going to be late? Is the tech going to work? Like all these things like that I was really like fixated on. And it was funny because I did 3 for NC State and I drove an hour, like 2 hours to get there and no one showed for 3 of the presentations I did there. Literally, like, I showed up, worked for hours on the presentation. Literally no one came. And I was like, at least I'll get dinner with my mom while I would cry over some soup. And I was like, that will be fine. It is like, went through all that and it was fun. And within that, what helped me, like, so I'm saying that, like, I don't think that no one's going to come up for your presentation, but like my worst case scenario that I was like, the tech isn't going to work, like all those things, that didn't happen. A different worst case scenario happened that I didn't even see coming. And I was still okay. Like, I still made it through. I was like, again, 5-minute funeral. That was like a 5-hour funeral on the way back home after dinner. But I want you to think, like, what is your brain scared of within this presentation?
So I'm not afraid that people are not going to come. I think they're probably going to be 30 to 40. It's a conference and I'm a breakout speaker. So there are going to be people there.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it on personal branding. So I'm like, okay, yes, I
love that for you, Demetria.
I know, but then I'm like, am I a personal branding expert? Because I feel like I'm in it, like teaching somebody how to swim when I'm like treading water.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I feel like.
Okay. So
like, holy shit, do I know what I'm talking about? Sorry. Like, do I know what I'm talking about?
Girl, you like coach. I curse so much.
I'm doing research and like putting things together. So I guess I'm just teaching. And it's okay if I didn't invent personal branding, right? I can teach it to them.
Mm-hmm.
They're college students. And I'm like, oh crap, they're going to be, like, I don't know. All the things.
Tell me, that's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Like, what are they going to, like, the college?
They're going to be so smart. And they're like, this lady is old and she might not, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And do I know what brands resonate with college students for my presentation? Like they don't want to hear about Coca-Cola, like that's old. You know what I mean? I'm like, so will I resonate with them? Yeah. What to wear? Like I know what I would wear normally, like in a professional setting, but am I going to look stuffy in front of college kids?
Yeah.
All of it.
Okay, that's what we want to get out, because I want you to imagine everyone when you're making a presentation, trying to make a presentation with those thoughts going on in the background. It's so hard because you're like, they're going to judge me. And that's the drama that I want to help clear up for you, because I think you know exactly what you're talking about. I think that this like concern that they're going to judge you is what's holding you back from just being like, yep, it's done, it's complete, we're moving forward. So the worst case scenario is that they judge you and they've got lots of judgments about you. They know they're smart, you're old. Like, these are your words. There's like, you are not old, by the way, but it's like that she doesn't know what she's talking about. Like all these things that like, I don't know what brand, will I resonate? I won't resonate. I think it's a big concern, right? And like, I won't. And why would that be a problem?
Well, I don't even know that would, because then the other thing that I'm telling myself is like, these are not my target. It's not really my target audience, but I guess they kind of could be, because they can create a life that they love, right? And they start early and have a fantastic life. So, yeah, so I shouldn't say that they're not my target audience.
But do you see that like your brain is like trying to like logically like refute yourself? Like let's just like let your subconscious go free for a second. Like, so it's like, I'm like, is it like I'm missing an opportunity with like people that could be my target audience? And then what? Like, it's like, would this be a problem for your business in the future? Like, for me, I was like, this presentation isn't going to go well. And then obviously all my clients are going to quit. And then I'm going to be out in the streets and it's going to be sad. And I was like, so that's.
Yeah. Or, yes. Or like, it'll prove that I'm not a good in-person speaker or something like that. Or
yeah,
it'll be some like, because, I'm thinking now, like, maybe this is a possibility of things that I can do, like give speeches, do things. And I have another one on February 11th. But that, like, I feel like that one's a little bit different audience, different topic. But I'm like, what if I fail big? And I have to do it twice, like that day. 2 breakout sessions.
To do it twice. So your brain is already preparing you for like, there's an opportunity for you to do public speaking. I think it'd be a phenomenal thing for you to do and add to your business formula. And your brain is already seeing that it could be a problem and it could be bad. And it's already almost counting this out, or like trying to use this as evidence that it's not going to work in the future, which is fun. That's what our brains do. And so what I want to think about for here is that like, within this being the future of your business, instead of going in thinking about like, oh, this could be this could be that, like, one of the things that I've realized, and I actually did like a story about this, is like, you don't need to know the circumstances or how something's going to work out in order to take control of it. And I think that your brain is trying to look for control from external circumstances, which is like their reactions, their the way that this presentation goes, the way that you look, the way that you're perceived, the way that this presentation is, the brands, like from every aspect, you're trying to control their experience with this presentation. And of course, that's what we naturally do. We always kind of look outside versus looking inside. So instead of that, like for me, I love coaching and I love coaches. And I think it's like the teachers, like it's like teachers with businesses. Like that's the way I think of you guys, because it's like teachers are just so altruistic and just like amazing people that just want to help the world. And like you guys are like that, but you have a business and I can help you grow it. It's so fun. And so when I'm thinking about my business, I want to make $1 million and I want to help thousands of people. Like that's my goal. And I have no idea how that's going to happen. Like I have no clue, no idea how it's going to happen. I have no idea what the circumstances are, but my self-concept has shifted drastically this year to, instead of being like, oh, will the presentation work? Will the, like for my memories of past experiences, like all those kind of things, instead of getting into like, oh, I don't know if it will work. For me, I've shifted to be like, this is going to work because I'm saying it's going to work. Like I'm adding this as a piece of my formula because it's like, there's no right presentation. There's no right way to reach out to these people. There's no right way to do anything. It's like, this presentation will work because I'm the kind of person that makes things work. And I will find a way to connect with them. And I'm going to make this the best fucking presentation about personal branding they have ever seen, because that's who I am. I'm Demetria motherfucking McVeigh. And this is what I do. You know what I mean? Like, I want you to imagine like making a presentation from the energy. Like, this is the best thing they're ever going to hear, because I'm going to make it the best thing they've heard. I don't care what their reaction is, because this presentation is going to be badass and I'll be able to use it for my people some other day.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you see that energy shift? Like, so instead of controlling the external, you take control internally. Yes. And instead of it being like, will this work? Will it resonate? It's like, will I resonate? I will make it resonate. Like, it's like, I will make it resonate for me and what I think is going to be the best thing. And if it doesn't work, I've got another opportunity on the 11th, because it's not like I'm going to quit this business. It's like, no, this is happening. Like, and I'm not going to use like any like reactions against myself. And I'm going to decide that ahead of time. Like, so when I would do webinars at the beginning, I would have people like this, just like stone faced. And I was like, I'm a person that like thrives off reaction. And I'm like, okay, instead of using that against me, I was like, how can I use this like for me? Like using this situation for you. And I'm like, I don't know if, again, like everything happens for a reason, but you can find a reason for everything, and being like, okay, why am I getting this reaction right now? What lesson am I supposed to learn right now from this? And I'm like, and I figured out I wasn't meant to work with college students. I don't think it was what I was meant to do. And I think it was just like the universe, like kindly redirecting me to like a different audience, coaches. And like, so like, I was like, okay. So it's like, this is a learning moment. I had to go through this. Like, because I literally was like at a wedding and I was like, this is my $1 million idea. I'm going to coach college students. It's going to be fucking awesome. And it, like, I tried so hard and it was like, no. And I was like, okay, this is not the thing. And I was like, okay, we're just gonna move forward. And the presentations were so wonderful. I had one of the students reach out to me and she's like, because of your presentation, like I went and applied to my dream job and I actually got it. And she was like, thank you. Like, and it was like, it was meant to put a positive impact in the world. She never became a client. None of them did. And I did 9 presentations and it was just meant to be a positive impact. And I used it for me to redirect, you know? But I want you to think about like how your future self, like this badass coach, what does she think about this situation?
She thinks it was a good starting point and a good experience. A good way to get
it like you believe it.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Like this is a good starting point. I know. For where are you going?
It's at one of our community colleges, but it's like a kind of statewide, I think, collegiate. It's DECA.
Oh, Oh, they need to know about personal branding for sure. Because aren't those that like political stuff? I'm pretty sure.
Entrepreneurs, like it's a
perfect.
Like
for entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs marketing. Yes. Okay, this is like the perfect presentation for them. The universe gave you like this opportunity to talk in front of these amazing
and see, I'm like, that's big. And I did. So because somebody approached me from a networking group, and I'm like, you want me to do it?
Yes, she does, because you're fucking badass.
Like, want me to do it? I'm gonna do it. I'm probably gonna need like those dress shills that you put in, and I don't even sweat. But like, I already feel like. So I'm gonna work on that for 2 weeks. I'm working on that.
And I would say excitement without breath. So breathe through it and then use all that. And that is good energy. Like I like to, like, whenever I'm nervous or like scared, I'm like, let me use this energy for something else. That's why I rage outreach. I'm like, this is energy that can be used productively. So do the presentation, set aside very specific times for it. And then instead of just like trying to coach yourself out of like feeling nervous, use that energy to do something else in your business. Like reach out to more people, talk to people online, like do something, talk to people in person, be like, I'm freaking out. And I could totally see you adding presentations as part of your business model, part of your business formula. And I think it could work really well. Like it's part of mine too. So I think that like this is a starting ground and it's going to be awesome, and use this energy for something, use it for good.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, I guess it is part of mine. I have two.
I think it
is. Yeah, I guess it is part of it. So all right.
And it's gonna work because you're gonna make it work because that's who you are. You know? Okay. Oh, I love you. When is it? February
3rd.
Okay, we're all going to send you such positive vibes. Like I know that we're still meeting next week. No, I'm not coaching anybody else because I'm at the mastermind, but I'm so excited for you. Like we're cheering you on 1,000,000%. You've got all of us in your corner. I promise.
Thank you. I'll report back.
Please do. Amazing. Shana, I know that you are at work, but I haven't talked to you in a hot minute and I wanted to check in and see how you are doing. If you can, if you can't, I will coach all the peoples. Again, this is what I did. I was like, zero judgment. I was like, you guys saw I was doing coaching calls during the school day. And I was like, okay, I'm not seeing her just yet. If you change your mind, Shana, we got you. And
I could jump in if
yes, absolutely, Sarah. Bring it.
Well, just listening to you talk about Facebook groups and all that, I've kind of been like, I've been totally inactive on it. I mean, I think I can kind of answer this a little bit for myself. Like I personally don't enjoy using Facebook. And so building something into my business model that, while I understand that it can be a place to create community, like when I think of the most successful people I know, they are spending the least amount of time I know on social media. And the time that they do spend on it is like a lot more strategic and intentional. Mm-hmm. They do things like mute notifications and that sort of thing. Like, and that's kind of been more of how I've approached it. But yeah, I'm not sure whether I want to like keep that going.
Super useful thoughts for you. Now, here's where I'm coming from. So you do not have to use social media to build your business. Mm-hmm. No, you do not have to be on Instagram. You do not have to have a presence on Facebook. I don't love Facebook either. But what I realized is that like, and what we were talking about previously, and this is not to be used to like hurt you or it is a part of your business. So Deb, I swear, if you use this against yourself, do not use this against yourself specifically for anybody who's doing marketing. But here is the thing that I found with marketing is that the billboard kind of marketing, oh, that's totally fine, Jenna. That it takes a long time to convert. And we talked about this like previously. You were mentioning billboard marketing, and its purpose is to spread your message, not to make money. Interactive group, something where you're actually talking with people, is where you are going to create more results, because that is actually where you're going to build people who are going to buy your business. So if social media is now, I think that one of the things is that you're comparing your like this is like the beginning phases of your huge business that we both know is happening to someone else's end, and like you don't see what happened on the back end of other, like, who are some of the people who are the successful people that who aren't spending time on social media?
It's not that they aren't spending time on social media, they're just very constrained about it.
Yeah, like who are these people that you're seeing?
Well, not all of them are coaches, some of them are.
Okay.
But I don't know, even like some of the communities that I'm a part of, like I don't go in and like spend a lot of time in those groups. I mean,
y'all, do you know how many times I've posted in the 200K mastermind Facebook group? Twice in my life. And I've been a part of it, and I paid $75K for this group that I'm like, so if that is, you don't have to, but what is your formula plan? If that isn't going to be your option, what's the plan?
Yeah, I mean, like inviting people to webinars and workshop just via Instagram and maybe ads down the line, but I would rather like keep the business lean.
Yeah.
I just find it so difficult to just wrap my mind around it. Like I think I just see most of the people who spend a lot of time like engaging in Facebook groups and things like that. Again, not all, but like most are like people who are not managing their time well and who are in like needy vibes, and it's just not an easy environment to navigate or want to, like, I don't want to be creating that for people either, like a time waster.
Okay. So what is something that is not a time waster? What would you consider not a time waster? Because I think your thought is like, it could not, which I think is a very important thing, that like, first off, that kind of like thought about like creating an environment that could hurt people. We don't want to have that thought. It's like, we don't want to have the thought that you can create an environment that could hurt people. And coming back to what I was saying about Demetria, is I was like, you and Deb, it's like, you get to decide what this Facebook group is going to be. And it's, you can make a Facebook group that is like something that you've never seen before. The other alternative is to make your own formula, pave your own way. I'm giving you everything that I have tried, and I'm never going to give you things that worked. I'm not going to teach you how to run a podcast, because that didn't work for me. I'm not going to teach you how to run an email list, because that wasn't as successful as I was hoping for me. But I am going to teach you how to do a Facebook group, because I've seen I did my conversion. So these were like the indirect, this is coming. This is what's February 1st, if you guys want to join. But I literally only had my Facebook group since September. I've spent 26 hours and gotten 2 clients from it. 3. So that for me seems like something worthwhile to tell you about, because it's worked really well for me. And I think it's been valuable. I actually think it's great that people aren't posting a lot in there. They could be posting lots of questions, but I want it to be questions like in our group. Like it's like that, it's like really like legit questions, like, how do you do this? What is this? Like, not for like, I'm struggling, I'm having a really hard, because no one in our group is doing this, by the way. Like when you're in a low value cycle and you need coaching, but like there are situations that I've seen people that just like would really like to talk. Everyone in this group who has ever posted about coaching that they've needed has taken it and run with it. So it's not what I'm saying, but I do know what you're talking about, like the needy vibes who are like literally spending like 2 hours on Facebook. What if you could create, you have the power to create a group like that. The other thing is you also have the power to say, hey, I'm paying for this, like this group right now, like you're paying for the Business Fulfillment Mastermind, and I don't want that to be a part of my formula, but I'm going to take control that I'm going to create a 6-figure business just through this year, and I'm going to make it happen because I'm Sarah motherfucking Rose, and that's what I do. I'm going to do a ton of presentations. I'm going to figure out ways to like invite people personally through IG and ads, and I'm going to figure it out. I just am doing this group because it took me, look at all the hours that I have spent. I'm like 1,800 hours on Instagram alone, email list 104 hours. Like this is a lot of time to be spending on things that didn't work super well. Now, this is just coaching calls like I did just last year. But I was like, that wasn't something that I would be like, this worked really well. I'm going to take it with my formula. This is where I'm going to put my effort. In networking, I included in networking. That's the Instagram group I talked about here. Networking, people talking about my business. So that's like, for me, that's where I'm putting my energy, is networking in my Facebook group, doing outreach, doing things like that. But you can make your own formula. My goal is to empower you to make your own formula. The goal of this group is to teach you what I did, my formula that worked. You implement that formula, then you evaluate it, and then you customize your formula for your business. But I always want you to be like, yes, I can make 100K this way, and I'm going to make it happen. Right? So let's do it. Don't do a Facebook group if you don't want to. I'm not telling you what you have to do. I'm just telling you what worked for me. But like, let's do it. What else is a part of your formula?
I mean, outreach, content creation.
Yes.
Now webinars and workshops, and I could add in like presentations.
Yes. But I want everyone to hear me. I'm not the Meg-tatorship of your business. Like this is not a this is not a situation.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I like said coming onto this. It's like I think I just
So this is the way that you're going to do it. You are building 100K business this year, and this is how you're going to make it happen. Now, I think that there just seems like there was like a brief dip in your confidence right now. And I do not want you to, this awareness about my business, to include any dips of confidence in yours, because I have seen people build businesses just this way. No IG, no Facebook groups, no nothing. And they have built 6-figure businesses. It's not the way I did it. And I don't know exactly how you guys are going to hit your business goals, but like, girl, you could totally do this. Now we just need to get really strategic about it. And now that it's like, okay, now that this is my formula, I'm going to choose this to be my formula. I'm going to make it right because that's who I am. And then it's like, how many people would I need to do outreach for to make that happen? And let's talk about through your numbers. So it's like currently you're 5K for the next couple months, and then you're moving your program price to 10K, right? So like,
no, K to 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, how many people would you need to coach to get to your business? And is your business goal, it is 100K this year, right?
No, it's higher, but that's okay.
Let's put it on. What is it?
It's 26 clients, which would just take me over the 200K mark.
Okay. So the goal is to get 26 clients, 200 motherfucking K this year. Let's go. That is what this group is for. Okay. So this is how you're going to do it. You're going to hit 200K this year through this. How many people have you talked to with your clients that have done consults with you? How many consults have you done that are from each of these places? Like with networking.
Yeah. I mean, if we're starting like January.
Right? You've gotten a client. One of the 26 came from you networking, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, it did. Okay, how many people did you reach out to before that person converted?
None of those people were people I had reached out to directly. They were people who were consuming my content.
Same with me. When I talked with you guys the other day about none of the people who I did outreach with were the people that came. My business is coming to the point where I'm going to be able to predict it that well, like Stacey fucking Tuchel, but she's been at this for 12 years and I'm not going to like expect my business to be where her business is at all. So I'm like looking at it and I'm like, okay, so my formula, I was like, every time I do a webinar, I get a consult. It's not from the webinar that I actually get the consult from yet. It will get there to the point where I can predict it that well. But if I know if I do a webinar, I typically get a consult. Now, when I did this webinar, this was from the outreach, and this person, I did the webinar and she didn't convert. Totally fine. Like, it doesn't mean anything. I have a 74% conversion rate. I'm probably going to get more client consults this year. I have a feeling, but it's like, what's your best guess? And let's try and make it happen. So how many people did you do outreach for? Not her, but how many other people did you talk to before she came into your inbox magically?
I mean, it depends because I've improved on that area a lot over the past months.
Yeah, girl, but just let's see the first, like, how many people for the first 2 weeks of January?
Like maybe like 20 to 30 people per week.
Fuck yes. Okay, so let's say if you do, let's say you do, when did you start consistently doing outreach? Like a month? Like, let's say it's just for the month, okay? So let's do, if I reach out to, I'm doing the over exaggeration. So it's 30 times 4 is, I should know this, 120 people a month could convert to one client. Potentially. This is our best guess, and we're going to go with it. We're going to go through outreach in this way. How many posts did you do in like the second half of December to January?
Probably like almost daily. Okay, so it equals out to about 1 a day.
Okay, so 7 times 4 is 28, right? Posts can also equal 1 client. How many presentations have you done?
None yet.
None. And so you haven't even had this piece of your formula yet, but let's give it a try. How many people do you want to convert from this one webinar that you're doing?
I mean, at least 1.
Beautiful. Okay. So 1 presentation equals 1 client. Now, same with my number. I don't know whether this is going to work for sure. I have no fucking clue, but I'm the kind of person that makes my formula work. I'm like, yeah, I'm choosing. This is my formula. This is what I'm going with. 2023. Let's fucking go. I'm going to make this happen. And I know my numbers. Like, if you guys but for my annual plan, like, I have it down to a T. I'm like, if I talk with, and we're going to do this. So if you're like, I don't know, I don't have it yet. I'm like, I don't want you guys to freak out about this yet. But I was like, okay, how many people could I get for one-on-one clients? I think I could stay at 15. I'm already above that. I think I could get 10 people in my next group that launches in March. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
The things that I'm doing to make that happen, I'm doing a presentation for now the coaching posse that happened yesterday. So anyone that's an LCS coach, I'm now their super coach, which is very exciting. I'm reaching out to all these people on Slack. I was like, I think I'm probably going to need to reach out to like well over.
But I think that's what's throwing me off a little bit. And I think I just need to like drop it and not use that against me. But like, I hear you saying like you're doing all this stuff. And this week, I'll be honest, I'm like feeling pretty burnt out energetically. And so the idea of following that formula of reaching out to like around 10 people a day, which is ideally what I would like to be doing consistently across the board, Monday through Friday, it's like taking so much out of me on top of like running on an empty tank and being back to back. And you're doing these like 80-hour work weeks, and
it's not intentional. You don't have
to. It makes me feel like I should be doing that though, and holding myself to that standard and just getting it done, and then I feel like worse about how I'm showing up this week.
Oh, Sarah. Okay, so this is not my intent. I essentially did that math to be like, no one's business should look like that. No one. Even though I'm teaching my formula, I'm not giving you the piece of my formula that I've spent a ton of time on. That has to happen at all. So I want everyone to hear me. If you start working 80-hour work weeks, I will personally come to wherever you are in the world and I will talk with you, have a firm sit down, because it's not what I want your business to look like. You are, I think, truly have a gift to help people, and I just want to amplify that help. So I want you within your business to like, please don't use my business and the mistake. The reason why I said the 80-hour work week is to show that was a mistake. That was not to show the golden standard at all. It's to be like, this was fucked up and I did not want to do this, but I did it and I made it work. But I don't want you to have to work that hard at all. That's literally what I say. Is like,
that's what it is. Like, I'm trying to make it work, but like, for example, this week I'm back to back until 11 p.m. Like I have 10-minute intervals to eat, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
and so what I want you to do is within that, I want you to think about what can you do feasibly that could be easy and things that you actually like, and then do that. Like, what are things that you could actually, do you enjoy content creation? If we're going with the intention that content creation is going to work, then do that. That's what we were talking with Deb about last week. It's like, if we want to we just want to decide on something and move forward with it. If your something is just coaching people in other capacities and they're just like amazed and then they start working with you, maybe that's it. I don't know, but like, let's use what you're already doing for you and not use what I'm doing against you.
Right.
So
yeah, I guess it feels like not enough. And then it's like time passes and we're like partway into January. And like, even if I have created some good results, it doesn't feel like I'm able to follow the plan to like duplicate some of the results that I've had based on the amount of time. Cause just the next, like I have to like bump the date of the webinar even because we were invited last minute to 200K mastermind, right? Like all these things that just make me feel like I keep sacrificing my own business to accommodate for these other contracts and things, and that I'm not able to, that I'm just not managing my time to prioritize some of the things like outreach or webinars that I know would convert great because I am getting great responses and people wanting to participate, and I have a new client. So
I just want you to notice the way your brain is saying that though. Like, it's like totally discounting all the things that you've done. Like, you got a new client. I mean, like, that's huge. Right? When was just showing your brain like the work that you're doing, it seems like the thought that I'm hearing, and to correct me if I'm wrong, is that like all this work is so much effort and I don't even know if it's going to work. And I also have other priorities that are like in the way.
Like, I feel like it will work. It's like committing to going to the gym and changing your diet. And like, of course that's going to work if you give it time. And all this is that it's giving it time part. Like, I'm just finding it difficult to create the time to do the things that I know work, like outreach and all of that. And
so what can you this is why I did this, because I felt the same way in like in Antarctica. I was like, I physically don't have enough time to do anything. I was like, I am going to lose my shit. And it was like, you saw like that, like, where did I put that? But the calendaring thing, I was like, I am losing my shit. And I was like, what if I have 1 hour a week? What can I spend that 1 hour doing that can make things better? Like, that's literally where I was like, I have like these hour to 30-minute increments and I'm going to make them work, Now, for you, because then I also think that might be preventing you from getting new clients because you're thinking, I've got too much to do and I like taking on something else would be a lot. That was where my brain was at least. So within that, I also went to Antarctica and didn't work for 2 weeks. I also am going to Kentucky and I'm not going to work. I'm going to Greece and I'm not going to work. I'm going to do things. And I feel like the business is in like a cycle. So I'm like, right now, yes, I'm working this upcoming weekend and I worked last weekend. That's due to poor planning. I'm just going to take it. And I was like, yep, I didn't plan my webinars for the next 2 weeks and it's okay. But I don't make like, I'm not going to make my overworking an issue. And I don't want you to make my overworking an issue for you either, like in a different way. So let's decide, what do you feasibly have time for physically in your week right now? Just for January. We're just making a January formula. Don't think about it for the full year, just 1 month at a time.
Like thankfully I've like batched some content. So just like, I still need to create captions for some of the things, but I can push that out over the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
I mean, I'm kind of taking it on a week by week basis at this point, since there are some like unknown variables.
Yes. So like
weekly, coming up with my plan for the week. And I mean, I'm gonna be like on my plan for the rest of this week. I do want to do more outreach and like commenting and interacting with people online. But I think I just have to accept that it will feel like pushing myself to do it, because
what can you do daily? Like that includes like self-coaching. Let's break it down. Like I know you're at week, let's break it down even more. What can you do? And even if it's not a direct source of income, like I want you to know that, like, just trust that what you've done is enough on Instagram. Like your Instagram presence is insane. Like if people aren't following Sarah, like you've got to check her out. Like it is so clear what you do. You have been look at these. Who is she? Like, this is so fucking badass. This is all new within the past, literally, like from here on, like this is all what you've done in the past in just this month of December. And so it's like so fucking cool. Like you have grown your business so much. So I want you to think about, like, if I want you to trust that what you've done for your posting is enough. Okay. It's like you've done an amazing job. What can you do every day to take care of yourself so that you don't stay in this cycle for a continued period of time?
Like it doesn't feel like there's a ton that I can proactively do. It's one of those things where I think I'll just have to like resource on the back end of this push, and just accept that this month looks different because of extenuating circumstances. But I think on a daily basis, if I just focus on like the minimum of what I can control, that does open me up to the possibility of clients, over delivering to my existing clients and giving people a phenomenal service. I am getting feedback from people that they're getting a ton out of their sessions with me. People have asked how they could work with me. I have a non-compete with some of the contracts, but you never know for referrals. And then thankfully, like batching is something I want to make sure I continue to have. And then just outside of that, I've like cut out anything that could make me go to bed later, and I'm not sacrificing on working out, but I think that just contributes also to the energetic low, because I push really hard in my trainings. And so being go, not stopping, going and training, emptying the tank sometimes, and usually coming home and then having maybe more sessions or working on more things for the back end of the business is just like, I don't want to stay in this place, but I think I can just take the L on this and set myself up for wins in February.
So, and I don't want you to think about like, take the L. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, this is like not a loss of a time period for you. This is a huge like shift for you in your business. And I don't want you overworking this month. I really, really want you to know that like you do not have to overwork to have a successful business at all. Now, yes, I did overwork for a little bit, but this year I do not feel like I'm gonna, other than like this month, because I like mismanaged, like I figured it out. So I'm like, yep, nope, I'm not gonna have to worry about this. I'm okay. I can figure this out. And these people who are asking if they can work with you, referrals. Everyone in this group can give you a testimonial. And Deb asked me to do a Google review. I want to do Google reviews for all of you. Okay. So we're going to put that in here too. Like we can all do Google reviews. It's like for each other, Google reviews, review page, like, so that way you can have people like that you are getting current results from, you can have them starting to filter in. I personally have worked with you and I'm not seeing my testimonial here. So I'm just going to make a testimonial for you sometime this week and I'm just going to send it to you. And you got to post it. So it's done. Like, it's like, that's just going to be something that you do. But like people, like you haven't even asked. Another thing that I just started doing, which is super fun with you guys, was the pre-working together. So like this, Eric, he just started coaching with me last week. And I was like, let's do a pre-video for everyone that works with me. So this current client, you can be like, let's do a pre-video. Like whoever it is, it's just getting really creative and not doing extra work with it. Like not doing much extra work. Like you already have the testimonial form, just sending it and then posting it. You know what I mean? So how many posts do you want to do a week? Not want to from like, oh, this would be a perfect business, but like how many, like just feasibly could you do minimum, like maybe one a week, maybe one every other week? You've got plenty.
I mean, like because of the batching, I think I can like sustain most of my flow, like anywhere from like 4 to even daily posts.
Like you don't have to do that.
No.
Like I want to tell you that this 200K business for you is happening no matter how much you post. This energetic thing, that's the thing we got to solve for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is happening. If we're deciding that you are the kind of person that just makes it happen, you can't make it happen on a burnt out tank. If you don't want to post for the entire month of January, I would say go for it. I didn't post for the entire month of June. Still hit us.
It just feels like that is one of the things that's working right now.
Okay, well, if you do it for, just be honest with yourself that this isn't what I need to do to make my business work. Anything I do for my business will work because that's the person I am. Yeah. I decided that taking a month off for my business in June, I was like, this is what my business needs right now. And I'm still going to make it work. My goal this past year was 6 figures. I'm still going to hit 6 figures, even if I take an entire month off from posting. Didn't do any look at my outreach, y'all. Like, it's not like I've been like super great about outreach. I told you, this is from 2021. This was, I think, in 2022. So it's like, no, it wasn't. This is the only outreach I ever did in 2022. That's all I did. I did outreach for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days. 10 days of outreach for the entire year, 26 hours. And that's all I did for a year. So you do not need to be doing it again, just because I had it on my lovely calendar to do outreach. I didn't actually do it. You know what I mean? Also, we love you. Yes, if anyone needs to roll, that's totally fine. But within that, like, I still knew I was going to make my year work because that's just who I am. I was like, yeah, that's who you are, though. I want you to like if I take the month of January off to do a clean reset and stop this like burnout from energy, my business will still work. I promise.
Yeah. I mean, I know that in theory, but it doesn't really feel like I can stop the energy burn right now. Like I'm just back to back with clients. So well, I'm saying it's okay. I think it's like at one point I'm going to phase out one of the contracts and it will create more space, and there are just extenuating circumstances that I think the less resistance I have, the less I'm fighting just the reality of where I am, I think the easier it will be to cope.
Yeah. Well, and like that's kind of where I was at this weekend. I was like, I am launching. I don't have a protocol for this. I don't know where I put all those dang protocols, but I was like, I don't have, oh yeah, here. It's like, I don't have any of these protocols and I have no time to reach out to people, but I know I need to reach out to people. And I was like, well, either I'm just not going to reach out to people and hope it works, or I'm going to have to cut something else. And that's what I decided. I was like, yep, I'm just going to have to cut some of the stuff that I wanted to do. And, but I didn't make it like mean anything like that. I'm not a good business coach. Like, I'm not like, oh, I suck at being a business coach, because totally didn't plan this year the way I was planning on, until like literally last Friday when I met with the coach and I was like, oh my God, I have to write, like, I have to do a lot of work this weekend. And I was like, okay, well, there we go. I was like, just gonna do it. I was like, I will move some stuff around and make it happen. But like, don't beat yourself up for that. And also, if you need to take rest, please rest. Like, I'm in a place where I'm not burnt out energetically when because here's what happens. If you keep going like this, Sarah, your business will stop working because you want to stop working and it feels shitty. Like, to that point, like where you get like so burnt out that like you're like, I can't go on. And I just don't want that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I'll get there, but I think this is just temporary circumstances for January.
What's your plan to get out of it in February?
Not squeeze like 3 weeks of work into one. Just be very planned and intentional.
How? When are you going to plan this stuff?
I mean, my hour one, my hour done, looking at, I'll have a clearer sense of
because the reason why I'm asking for everybody is like, if you are feeling like there's no light at the end of the tunnel, like this is just going to be your business forever and you don't have a clear plan to get out of it, then like, I want you to know that like, I want your brain to have a very clear plan. Like, I'm not going to do this. I know exactly how I'm going to, like, for me, that's why I did this protocol. I was like, okay, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to spread out my webinars. I'm going to do my marketing 3 months before. I'm going to do my marketing 2 months before. I was like, yep, I could see a way out of it. And that's why I wasn't stressed. Yeah. So like, this is how I'm going to do my launch protocol for my group. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, I know how I'm going to fix it for next time.
Like, it definitely doesn't feel like this is going to be a forever. Like this, good. Like I said, okay. It does feel extenuating circumstances. Having a lot of time with parents visiting, and then next week having like, surprise, you're working 40 hours instead of 20, and you still have clients to fulfill and other things on top of that. It's like creates like 2 back-to-back, closer to 80-hour work weeks. So that's not regular, and I think, and usually I'm very boundaried around my time.
Yeah, and I used to like, you're adorable, like family, like looking at how happy your parents were, like what Deb was saying about like her daughter wanting to go and get coffee. Those are the moments that actually matter. You know what I mean? Like last night,
that's what I mean. And I think that's where my whole mentality around Facebook groups and stuff, I'm like,
then let's not do Facebook groups. We're cutting Facebook groups out. I swear to God, if you put Facebook group in here, I'm like, we're gonna block it. I'm like, no, because you don't need that right now. You later, it can be part of your plan.
Yeah.
But for now, if you want, but for now, this plan is going to work, even if you take 10 people a day for 2 months out of the year.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to be like every single day I do this. I do 28 posts. It's like, let's say 28 posts every quarter. I can still get 1 client. 1 webinar every 6 months. And again, we can just decide that it's going to be a case 26. We can just decide that every time I do outreach, it's like, I'm going to energetically bring in like 10 clients. And then every time I do content creation, I'm going to bring in 10 clients. And then every time I do a webinar, I bring in 5 clients. And then you'll overhit your numbers. But it's like, no, just trusting that like that is enough. and knowing that if you need to take like a second off, don't beat yourself up for like spending and taking time with your family. Like you don't need to do all the things. And that's why actually like in the webinar, I'm like, you pick 3 things. Like the one that I'm doing, I'm like, you pick 3 things that you're going to be doing for this year that are in your formula. And we're going to be talking about this too, but I'm like, just 3. So keeping it down to 3 things. That's what I'm going to be doing this year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Makes sense. Okay. This is good. Thank you, Megan.
Of course. I love you so, so much. And I'm so glad that everyone else heard that. Please do not overwork because I overworked. That is not the goal of me showing you my overworking. I think that other people probably saw them. They were like, oh, that's what I have to do to hit 6 figures. I'm like, no, I just figured out this shit in like, honestly, like October to now. I'm still figuring it out. Like, but I'm like, oh, I'm going to do it so much better this year. And it's going to be a lot less time. But you don't need to struggle because you're paying for my struggle with this program. It's like you're paying to learn from my mistakes and not make them. So I'm really glad you guys reached out. If anyone needs any coaching, I will reach out in the classroom, and I'm really proud of you guys. Thank you so much for being so amazing, and I will see you guys next week, okay?